Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably thinking, girl, it's so hard to get over someone who, I had a connection with, an emotional connection with. So, how hard could it possibly be to let go of someone who I never even had an actual genuine connection with? Trust me, girl, it's harder than it actually seems. Hello you guys, and welcome back to the life experience on my channel. On today's episode, I am going to be teaching about how to let go of someone you never had, because honestly, from the situations that I've seen from my friends, the situations that they have been through, I'm like, okay, when they telling me their stories and they're coming to me with their problems, and I'm just like, are you together though? Like, is this a relationship? And then majority of the time they will be like, oh no, we're just talking. Oh no, we're just in a talking stage. Oh no, we're just a situationship. And I'm like, but like, what is this connection then? Why is there this emotional connection and this attachment to this person? And it's just based on the conversations, and it's just based off this idea of what could possibly happen with this person if it were actually a thing. It's time to put this to an end. I need to tell the people how to actually get over someone that you've never actually had, because there are those type of situations. Any other type of relationship. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, follow all of my social media, and that's on what period. Anyways, so let's get into the video. Phase one, the first thing that you need to do in phase one is that without wasting any time, you need to let go of the idea that you have of this person. Because the reason why you're so attached to this person, and the reason why you're so afraid to let this whole situation go and this person go, is because you are not even attached to the person, but you are so attached to the idea of this story of what you guys could possibly become, the story of what you guys would be like if you guys weren't so toxic, if things weren't so complicated. This is how our story would be. No, you need to let go of the idea, because what is that? It's just a fantasy. It's just an idea of something that won't be in this current instant, because that person simply doesn't want it to be that way. Because if they didn't want it to be that way, then it wouldn't be that way in the first place. Sometimes you really do be thinking, this is the one for me, this is the person that I want to build a life with, this is the person that I really like. But not only are you just infatuated, you are just, honestly, your feelings and whatever you have built up in you is all driven by an idea. Because if I were to sit down and have a conversation with you right now and ask you, what do you like about them? What's your favorite thing about them? If I were to ask you certain things like that, you probably wouldn't even know how to respond to it, because you probably haven't even had a conversation with this person. This is why I call it phase one, because there's two phases in this. There's a phase in which you actually never confronted the person, and you confronted this person, you never had a single conversation with this person, they are merely a crush. And then it's phase two, where you've stepped out of that stage of just having an idea of someone, and now you're in phase two, where you actually have had a conversation with someone, but you still like them. That's an entirely different story, which I won't get into. But we're still on phase one right now. You haven't had a single conversation with this person. You don't know what the type of person they are. You don't know what they value. You don't know their morals. You don't know their beliefs. You don't know their dislikes. You don't know their interests. You don't know anything about them. And you don't even know what they don't like. Oh, they probably get this amount of attention. They probably have this amount of exes. They're attractive. That's probably all that you know. And that's probably all you've been focusing on. And you know that you won't ever approach this person. Now, the last and final step in phase two that you want to do is you need to confront them. This goes back to an episode that I once did long ago about stop molding people into what you want them to be. And I'll put the link in the description below, because a lot of people really do struggle with this. And it's like, because this person has so many red flags, you're gonna try to change them. You're gonna try to see them as this good person. They tick every box, even though they really don't. Even though they are usually someone that you should run away from. You shouldn't even pay attention to them. You're still, trying to pursue. You're still trying to pursue them and everything. And it's just like, actually, you know what? Confront them. Have a conversation with them. and find out, and then you can tell me then if you still like the person. Because 9 times out of 10, yeah, when a person has a crush or something, right? When someone has a crush, they just have a crush based on what they see on the outside, based on probably what they've also heard about from other people about this person. But once you actually sit down and that person opens their mouth, oh honey, you probably don't even like them anymore, and you will lose interest so fast. So honestly, if you don't want to be fixated on this person anymore and you've been seeing them from afar, actually try to talk to them and see how much you like them afterwards. Because 9 times out of 10, you probably don't even like them anymore. You're so disinterested that you're like, what the heck did I even see in this person in the first place? It was the idea and it was the attraction. Simple. That's why you hear certain people, you may think people joke when they say this, but it's like your crush is meant to stay as a crush. Because once you actually try to make something out of it, it probably becomes way too complicated. You probably don't align, but you're now forcing things, or you're not interested in them anymore, and then it turns into a whole thing because maybe they like you, whatever the case is. Like, it could literally manifest in so many ways. It could escalate into so many different scenarios that you wouldn't even have thought of, in the first place. But yes, you might be scared shitless in the beginning and you might not want to do it, and you might be like, girl, you cannot convince me to even go up to them. Because this is literally for your own peace of mind and sanity. Because also at the end of the day, you've created this image of this person out of boredom. There's probably nothing going on in your life right now. Your love life is probably dry, and you just want something to just keep you busy, keep your mind occupied and everything. And the only way that could possibly happen is through someone that you could probably fantasize about. But if you can see this is just taking up too much of your time, and it's causing you to be very delusional, and it's causing you to just pour a lot into something that really doesn't serve you, because it just doesn't serve you. Once you see that, you need to take a step backwards and actually distance yourself from the situation. And the only way you can do that is by detaching. And by detaching, you need to confront the situation for what it is and take it for what it is. Now, if you have done everything that I said in phase 1, right, and nothing has worked for you, you've actually confronted the person and you actually were like, you know what, I actually kind of like this person. I actually like this person. I actually kind of like hanging around them. Then girl, let's fix that as well. Because it's a different story now, because you've actually confronted them, but now you're stuck. Once again, you're stuck in phase 2, where you're not an actual thing, you're not official, and this is just some random talking stage / situationships / whatever you guys want to call it nowadays. Now you find yourself in a situation where you have this person, but they're not yours. They don't want to be claimed as yours. Instead, they're very much okay with still being for everybody else. They don't want to be committed to you fully. And now it gets to that part of like, how do you actually let go of someone you never had? Because now you're clinging onto that person, because now you've probably developed feelings for this person. Now it's probably more than just infatuation. Now you actually kind of really like this person. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna create a list of all of their red flags. You're gonna create a list of all the negative things about them, and you're gonna have to be cutthroat with it. You're gonna have to put no emotion into this, because the more emotion that you put in, the more you're gonna be persuaded to actually just write positive things about them, because you're blinded by your feelings for them. So you're obviously gonna write just positive things about them. So what you're gonna do is that you're gonna write down a list of all the red flags. And honey, in any situation, if the pros outweigh the cons, then you're gonna focus on the pros, and you're gonna find a way to work with those cons, right? Because those cons are not completely like, it's not anything you can't work through, if that makes sense. Because everybody has their own flaws, right? But I'm telling you now, if the flaws, if the negatives, if the red flags outweigh the positive, why the hell should that person still stay in your life? Because with the pros, that person is actually bringing something into your life other than whatever a person with a lot of red flags and negatives would bring into your life. What would they even bring in your life? Nothing but stress, hair loss, wrinkles, and just chest pains and tears and everything. Whereas a person This person is going to be able to provide a lot of value into your life. They're going to inspire you in so many ways. They're going to make you want to broaden your interests and stuff like that. Whereas with the person that's filled with red flags, what the heck are you gonna do with that? So you need to make sure that you write down that list, be cutthroat, be blunt, be honest with yourself. Because the worst thing about cheating in a situation where like you're cheating, at the end of the day, you're the one that's not benefiting from the situation. Because what are you going to benefit from with cheating yourself? Because at the end of the day, this is for your benefit. So the fact that you're still trying to defend this person, even though this is something that's for your peace and your sanity, is going against everything that requires you to love yourself and respect yourself. I want to emphasize just, writing the list of all their red flags and everything that, just makes them like everything that's just negative, is because when we're in these situations, when we're in these relationships, we see these people through rose-colored glasses, right? Because we're blinded by emotions and the love that we have for them, right? But the second that we take off the rose-colored glasses and we see the situation for what it is, we actually realize that we actually deserve better, and we realize, why did we even stay in the first place? Do you understand? So that's more reason for you to just be cutthroat and just be dead honest with yourself. Number 4, realize if God wanted it to happen, it would have happened. If God really wanted you guys to just form a relationship and build something even greater than that for yourselves and everything, that would have happened ages ago. So the fact that y'all are being faced with so many obstacles that it's kind of given like, oh, it's just a coincidence, oh, that kind of happened just because of this, and you're trying to find every possible reason as to why you guys still haven't gotten together because of the obstacles that you guys have had to overcome. It's just the universe and God literally sending you signs as to not be with this person. But you are not taking in the signs because you are seeing everything else as a coincidence. You're seeing everything else and you're creating excuses for all of these things, and it's like, girl. Sometimes as people who are blinded by our feelings and stuff like that, when it comes to these situations, we don't want to come to terms with the fact that we don't align with certain people, because we have become so accustomed to the idea of having this person in our lives. We have become so attached to that fantasy that we've built in our heads, that the fact that now I have to let go of this idea, which means I have to let go of my dream with this person, this dream life that I've created with this person in my head, that's like the hardest part to detach from, because it's like, this is what you've always hoped for. And the fact that this is not going to happen now in this present time, in this month, in this span of 6 months, that is what's terrifying to you, because you feel like time is running out, and if this doesn't work or succeed for me, then when is it ever going to succeed for me? You have that scarcity mindset of, you don't have that abundance mindset of like, good things are going to come for you eventually, but how are they meant to come to you if you're not going to be ready, and you're not going to build that resilience, and you make room for that type of life, or for that dream person or whatever to actually come into your life? You're not making space for it because you're out here stuck with your toxic mentality, your narrow-mindedness and everything. How is that ever supposed to, the dreams and everything that you want, that dream life, how is that ever supposed to come if you don't get rid of all of that? Number 5, and I would love to put an emphasis on this one. If they wanted to, they would. If they wanted to, they would, and no one can tell me different. If this person actually wanted to make sure that they want to put you in a relationship where you feel secured and everything, and you guys are an official thing, you guys are an actual thing other than just being a situationship, if they wanted to make sure that they are putting in the effort, if they wanted you in general, if they wanted the relationship and to have a good relationship as much as you did, then they would. They simply would. There's no mathematical equation that's going to be so difficult as to why you guys can't get to this good point in your relationship or whatever. There's no massive equation, okay? It's just as simple as that. If that other person wanted to put as much effort, and if they wanted it as much as you did, it would have already been a thing long ago, but they don't care enough to. The reason why you're in a toxic space with this person is because this person is enabling and It's because this person is spreading toxicity and you are enabling it. You are enabling that toxic behavior. And just in the way that you're enabling their inconsistency. And I think it's so crazy because I feel like that should be people's top 5 turnoffs, at least top 5. Inconsistency. If the person cannot even be at least consistent with you and everything, they clearly are not interested in showing up for you every day in the way that you want them to show up for yourself or for that relationship. They clearly don't love you, care for you, and respect you enough to do so. So they know that they can just be like, this with you. Like, they know they can just do that with you. They know that they don't have to actually put in the effort to actually try and be and match your consistency and everything. They know they don't have to because you're already doing half of the work. Fuck that. You're doing more than half of the work. So they're letting you do all the hard work while they just sit there and just be toxic and then just not claim you and not make things official. Like, and you're allowing that. You're enabling it. Come on, don't do that. So don't ever disrespect yourself by letting them do all of those things to you. You don't deserve that. It's not fair to you. And you shouldn't internalize all of those beliefs of thinking that you don't deserve all of these other things just because other people have told you that you don't. Number 6, I actually want you to try. Like, I want you to try to actually get over this person and stuff like that. I actually want you to try to get over this idea, over this relationship, over this connection. Because I feel like a lot of people think that they try to get over people, to get over a relationship, to get over a phase, to get over whatever the case is. But they don't actually put in the necessary work and they don't put in the effort. You're telling me that you want to get over someone, but they're still saved on your phone. They can still see how you're living. You can still see how they're living. You're telling me you want to complain about them messaging you and wasting your time and whatnot, but you're entertaining it though. You're allowing someone to have the space in which they could actually disturb your peace. You know, I just feel like you're the enabler and you're clearly not trying to put a lot of effort into actually getting. You actually probably like it. You probably like the fact that, you know, they still have to like look at your stuff and you still have to look at their stuff and they can still have access to you. And it's still some type of association that you have with that person, whether or not they have access into your life, whatever the case is. If you know that there's a way in which they could actually easily get to contact you with it, whatever, that's when you know that you're not actually doing the most. You're not actually trying as much as you say that you are. If you are still wanting to hold up an association in terms of like being friends with this person that you've had a connection with, just know that you're also not trying, that you're leaving the door open. Like, the door is not wide open per se, but you're letting there be a crack in the door for that person to actually go in. You're not locking that door, and closing that book and letting that be a chapter in your life for, you know what, that happened and it's all done. It cannot be rewritten. That chapter cannot be rewritten. So you know what, I'm done with that chapter. And if that door is closed, I've lost the key. So that door cannot be open and stuff like that. So it's just like realizing that you're not actually putting as much effort as you think that you are. And also just placing these people on a higher regard is never going to work in your favor, because how are you meant to get over someone, or how are you meant to let go of someone who you hold at such a high regard? You're still putting them on the pedestal and you're still seeing them through your rose-colored glasses, and you're still seeing them as this good person and every good thing they've done, blah 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 blah. It literally makes no sense. And you just have to also just check within yourself and look, are you actually trying the hardest? Are you actually trying your best to change the situation? And for more help, you guys can check out my 2 other videos. I believe it's 2 videos on like how to let go and break up, or whatever the case is. I have tons of those, so I'll put the link in the description. I'll put some of them up on the screen so you guys can actually like really watch them. They will literally help you and save you, so watch those for more. And yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stop unsubscribing. Just subscribe. Like, why are you unsubscribing? It literally makes no sense. Anywho, bye.